All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Corey Walmsley. I'm CEO of Aurora Borealis Publishing, and I have one of our authors here today with us. This is Dana Ziemniak, and she has just put out her book today, and we actually have already hit #1 bestseller. I think it was #1 new release. So that was a really exciting surprise this morning. Her book is Blue is the Color of Heaven, and it's a very close to her heart story. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and I'm actually going to pull up the live feed here on my phone. So if you have questions for us while we're talking, please ask, and we will try to answer them as we go. So Dana, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, thank you, Corey. My name's Dana Ziemniak, and I wrote this book, Blue is the Color of Heaven. It is about my son, Evan, who we lost almost 7 years ago to an online challenge called the Choking Game or Pass Out Challenge. And so I've just made it my mission the last almost 7 years to share his story and raise awareness in hopes of saving other lives and other parents from having to go through the pain that we've been through.
Yeah. I know it is a tough story, but it's one that we really needed to get out there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we need to talk about it more and make sure that everybody knows about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, honestly, I wanted to do it in a way that it would keep my son's memory alive and to carry on his legacy. And then, of course, to raise awareness, not only about the choking game, but also about the inadequacies in the schools that we face, for parents who have children with invisible disabilities. My son had ADHD, anxiety, and high functioning autism. And so it's very difficult to navigate the system and to fight for your child and to get services. So it's sort of my way of raising awareness for all of that as well.
Yeah, I think that is, you have a lot of different reasons there, and they're all really important reasons. So I'm really glad that you were able to do this. I know when you approached me back in March and you started telling me all these things, I was like, wow, this is really big. Like, you really needed to make sure that this is a message that gets spread. So I'm glad that you were able to do this.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I know that everybody knows this is a tough topic to write about. So what was it like for you to write about such a personal topic?
Well, I've always been very open about everything, my feelings, everything that happened with our son. So it wasn't difficult in that sense. But some parts were difficult to relive certain, things that were not easy to go through. But then other parts was like walking back in time and spending time with Evan again. So it was sort of like a way for him and I to just be together in writing this book. And so it was a good experience. It was difficult. I didn't have a lot of faith in myself that I could do this, but I believe with the help of my son, we did it. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that sometimes when you were writing, you felt like he was there.
Yes.
And yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Ever since Evan passed away, well, prior to that, I didn't believe in a lot of spiritual things. Like, I knew, our spirits live on, but I was never quite sure how. And shortly after he passed away, he started sending signs and messages, and he sent mediums to me. And I started to realize he's here, and lights would flicker at certain times, or just things would happen that you would say, there's no way that's a coincidence. And so over time, I've learned to know when he's with me, and I can feel him when he's actually, I feel the energy. So when he's with me, I can feel it. I've learned. I'm very thankful that I'm able to understand that and recognize that.
Mhm. Yeah, I felt like, every once in a while, it was nice to have almost like his approval of what we were doing as we were working on this. So that was
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes. See, I'm
Yeah,
sure what he orchestrated all of this. I have no doubt. So I'm sure he was here making sure, we were on top of things.
yeah, yeah. And this is not a small book. And I wanted to say, you wrote this in 5 months, and I think we were both so blown away with how quickly and easily the story came. So I'm sure he had a hand in that too.
Yes, absolutely. There's no way because I'm not a writer. Not that's been like my worst subject was having to write. I dreaded having to write anything. And then somehow I wrote this book.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And of
Um,
course you helped me a lot as well. You got me on track and helped me, outline it and go with it. So yeah, I've had help.
yeah, yeah, I was able to work with Dana on this one as her coach. So we worked very closely, getting the story out, outlining the whole thing, pulling out certain parts to make sure that the important message is really stuck. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was wonderful. And I know what our writing process was like, when we sat down on our calls, but I was wondering if you could just tell everybody a little bit about what your writing process was like, because that's something people are always curious about when they
Yeah.
meet an author.
Yeah, I would say my writing process and style was a bit unconventional. I tended to work better under pressure. In fact, one of the chapters I wrote in one day, and that was the chapter that you really didn't have me change anything on. So I don't know how I did it, but I did it all in one day. And a lot of times I would sit outside on the front porch, like over the summer when the weather was nice and stuff like that. I didn't really have any particular times. Sometimes I would work on it while my daughter was at track practice. I'm sitting in the car. So, I just kind of did it when I could. So like I said, it's not very conventional. I think other people probably have better writing styles or ways to do it, but that's how it worked for me. So,
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any wrong way to do it. If it works for you, it works for you.
yeah.
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 But I will say having that outline is really one of the pieces that
Yeah.
allows people to just sit down and be like, all right, I'm just working on a chapter today.
Yes, and that's how I did it. And it helped to go in chronological order. So, and also thankfully over the years, I had it in my head that I wanted to write a book, never thinking I would, but I had written things down over the years. So I was glad that I did that because it's been so long. I was able to go back and read this stuff and then remind myself, oh yeah, this is how it went. And
Mhm.
so it worked for me to just do it all in order. So
Yeah. And with your book, you went clear back to when Evan was born, right?
yes, I start with finding out I'm pregnant with him. So this is going back, I mean, over 19 years because he would be turning 19 in January.
Mm.
So yeah, it's surprising how much I remember from, 19 years ago. So
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it very interesting trying to go back and remember all those things.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I think about how long it's been, it's like, wow, it's been that long. But then it's like, it feels like yesterday too, so
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. I know personally I have trouble remembering what I did yesterday. So
yeah. And I do too. Certain things I can't remember, but when it came to writing this book, a lot of it, it's just part of me, I think, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So it was easier to remember, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I was going to ask, I know we hadn't talked about this before, but about the title, because I know when we were sitting down and looking at what to call this book, like we had
Yeah.
all these different notes. I think I had a page full of notes of all the different things that we were thinking about.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell a little bit about that story?
Yeah. Um, so again, like I've mentioned, Evan is very strong in getting messages out. And and sending mediums to me. So the one day I was talking to a friend of mine who is a medium, and we were talking about feathers because Evan always had a thing for feathers and he sends me feathers a lot. And she was trying to get him to send me a cardinal feather so that I would know for sure it was him. Like, who, I don't really find cardinal feathers. So and it's kind of funny that she's telling it to me this way. She's never met him, never met me in person, doesn't know. But the way she talked and how she was having this kind of almost an argument with him, like she was like, Evan, send your mom a red cardinal feather. And he was like, no, I want to send a blue jay feather because blue is the color of heaven. And so that's where it came from. Blue is the color of heaven because that's what Evan said.
Yeah. I love that. And it's something that's important to him too, because he had
Yes.
with feathers and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that's such a neat story.
It is. It is. I mean, it's kind of funny to think about a spirit arguing with a human, but like the way the conversation went was exactly how he was in life. You know what I mean? So we're the same people. Our personalities are the same in spirit as they are here. So of course he would argue because that's what Evan did all the time.
Oh, that's so funny.
He still makes me laugh.
Yeah. Aw, that's so sweet. That actually reminds me of something else. You're talking about like his legacy, he still makes you laugh. And that's something important about the book too, I think, is that you don't just lead up to his death and that's it. Like there's so much more after that, and his big
Yes.
messages and what he meant to everybody. Could
Right.
you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Evan was always what I called an old soul, and he was very, very empathetic. He was very sweet and caring about other people. And that always amazed me because he had so many struggles with his diagnoses and the bullying and things like that, but he was still able to be kind and considerate and caring to others. And after he passed away, and again, he was only 12, some of his classmates, some that I had never even met before, started reaching out to me over the years. And they were starting to share stories of his kindness with me and how he was so kind to them and how he stood up for them. Or even though he had struggles, he always had a smile on his face or held the door open for people. I mean, there's just so many stories. And, I'm looking at him thinking to myself, like, this is just a 12-year-old child, but he has touched so many of these kids. And now they're all, turning 19, they're in college, and they're still remembering him and they're still talking about what he meant to them and how they've changed their ways because of him. And that's truly amazing to me that my sweet little boy has had such an impact on so many people, and he continues to do that in spirit. So he's pretty amazing, I have to say. I'm honored that he chose me to be his mother because he's an amazing boy.
Yeah. Yeah, he left quite a legacy.
He sure did. Yes. For years and years to come. He sure has. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what is the big message that you want people to get from the book? Because we've talked about several different things here,
Yeah.
his legacy, his journey.
Yeah. I would say the biggest message, and Evan believed in this a lot. He believed in the golden rule to just be kind to others and treat others as you would want them to treat you. And I think that above everything, all the other stuff that happened, that's the biggest message, is to just be kind to people, because you never know what they're going through. You never know what kind of a day they're having. And being kind and smiling to someone or doing something little could mean the world to someone. And you can change someone's day just with a smile and being kind. So I think that's one of the biggest messages. There's a lot of messages in this, but I think that might be one of the biggest ones, is to just be kind to one another.
I love that. So to wrap up, what would you tell someone who wanted to share a similar story?
Do it. I mean, there's always someone out there that needs to hear it. And I really believe in telling my story and in telling people's stories, it helps others who are in your situation, because oftentimes, I felt very alone. I felt alone in my grief, and I felt very alone when I was struggling through those hard years with him. And so I feel like if someone else is going through it, it's like a validation. So if you have a story to share, you should share it, because someone out there is going to read it and say, you know what, this will give me the strength and the motivation to carry on and do what I need to do. And so I feel it's important to share stories. It helps other people. It really does.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's awesome. So I did want to say that Dana's book is available today only for 99 cents on Amazon. You can get a digital copy, and we are hoping to hit bestseller with this book because, not only does that get it in front of more eyes, it helps more people, hear the story. It helps more people see what's going on. And, as we've said several times before, in talking about this book, if you are a parent and you don't know what to protect your kid from, then, how are you going to do it? So please make sure that you're sharing this. Please make sure that, if you can, reach out to, your district, reach out to your school. I know I reached out to our school and was talking to them about it. And, I was going to give them a copy of the book. I think this is something that's super important that we really need to get in front of a lot of eyes and really talk about this, because, we're just protecting kids.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So Dana, was there anything else that you wanted to say? Oh, and show off the book.
Oh,
Totally
here it
forgot.
is.
Yeah.
There's my baby right there, my Evan, my reason. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who, so far has bought this book. I'm blown away. I never could I have ever imagined that it would have reached this many people. And so I'm honored, and I'm truly blown away. And like I said, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me, Corey. You really helped me do this. And I just want to say thank you. And I hope, I don't want to say I hope you enjoy the book, because I know there are parts that are not enjoyable, but I feel it's a difficult book, but it's important. And I think that, there are a lot of good feelings in this book. So I hope people will get something out of it.
I think they will. Definitely. So we don't have any questions, but there were a couple comments. So I just wanted to read them. Kelly says, beautiful. He's truly with you always. Thank you, Kelly. And Kelly has had a huge part in helping us out with this book, with our media outreach and making sure we're spreading the word about the book. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Also, one of our authors, we actually just launched another book recently called For She Who Grieves. And Amy Hooper Hannah is one of our authors, and she commented, our most painful challenges are transformed when we share our stories with others trapped in similar pain. Our loss becomes a roadmap out of an overwhelming wilderness of loneliness. A beautiful quote from an author friend. So
Beautiful.
Sharing that, Amy.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah. Well, for everyone who has watched, whether you're watching live or with the replay, thank you for joining us. And if you have questions or comments, please put them in the comments. I will be sharing the link for the book in the comments, so everybody can go out and get a copy of this, and, please help us spread the word. So thank you, Dana, for sharing Evan's story with us and for being with us this morning. And can you show the book one more time so everybody knows what we're looking for?
Yep. Blue is the color of heaven.
Awesome. All right. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.